The Boston Celtics continue to prove why they are one of the most dominant franchises in the NBA. After winning the championship last season, the team once again positions itself as a top contender for the title, fueling hopes of a rare back-to-back championship run. With an impressive record of 51 wins and 19 losses, the Celtics currently hold the second seed in the Eastern Conference, solidifying their status as one of the most feared teams in the league. But beyond their on-court success, the franchise is undergoing a major transformation behind the scenes with a drastic change in its ownership. The team sailed to build Chisholm of Symphony Technology Group for $1 billion. And this raises the big question: what does this ownership change mean for the future of the Boston Celtics? When a new owner takes over a franchise, major changes often follow. Sometimes, the new leadership chooses to stay the course and build upon the existing success. But in other cases, it marks the beginning of a new era, one that could bring significant roster shakeups. According to Zach Harper of The Athletic, there is a real possibility that the Celtics might consider trading some of their highest-paid players in the upcoming offseason. But does that really make sense? Trading Jrue Holiday might seem like a logical solution to ease the salary cap and create flexibility for future moves. But does it really make sense on the court? We're talking about one of the best defenders in the NBA, a player who played a crucial role in the 2024 championship run, and beyond that, brings a championship mentality that can't be measured by stats alone. On a team that values tactical discipline and defensive consistency, letting go of a player like him could have consequences that go beyond financial impact. However, when looking strictly at the numbers, Jrue has had a below-expectation season. Offensively, his 11 points per game and 33.7% shooting from three raised questions about his contribution on that end of the floor. With Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown already carrying the offensive load, would it be more beneficial to have a point guard with better playmaking and floor spacing ability? That's a question the Celtics need to consider carefully. But is it really worth giving up an elite defender for an uncertain offensive upgrade? Holiday isn't just a good defender, he's one of the few players capable of shutting down the league's biggest stars in crucial moments. His performance against Luka Doncic in the 2024 finals was a prime example of that. If Boston trades him, are they willing to risk losing that defensive stability and becoming vulnerable against teams that exploit perimeter mismatches? Another key factor is Holiday's age and contract. He's 34 years old and under contract until 2028, meaning a physical decline is inevitable. The question is, should the Celtics act now while he still has market value, or prioritize the stability of a team that has already proven it can win with him? A common mistake in the NBA is underestimating the impact of continuity. Changing essential pieces can trigger a negative domino effect, disrupting the chemistry of a roster that has already found a winning formula. On the other hand, if Boston believes it needs to refresh the roster to keep competing at the highest level, a trade might be unavoidable. But what would the ideal return be? A point guard with a better shot? A younger player to prepare for the future? Or should the team trust that Holiday still has enough left in the tank for a few more high-level seasons? There's no simple answer. Trading Holiday could be a risky move both in the short and long term. Does Boston really want to give up a proven defensive leader and locker room presence for a gamble? Or should they stick with the security of a battle-tested player who has delivered in the most important moments? Kristaps Porzingis' impact on the Boston Celtics is undeniable. Since his arrival, he has brought a dimension the team hadn't had in years. A center who can space the floor while also protecting the paint. His numbers are solid, averaging 19.3 points, 6.8 rebounds, and 1.6 blocks per game, along with an excellent 39.1% shooting from three-point range. On paper, he is the ideal complement to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, making the Celtics' offense even more versatile and harder to guard. But Porzingis' biggest issue has always been his durability. This season, he has played only 34 games, reigniting concerns that his body might not withstand the grind of a full NBA season. And even more concerning, will he be available in the crucial moments of the playoffs? Because if the answer is no, The Celtics might be building their success on an unstable foundation. What's the point of a theoretically perfect fit if he can't be on the court when it matters most? And here lies the dilemma. Should the Celtics bet on Porzingis' recovery, or seek an alternative before it's too late? When healthy, his presence on the court has an undeniable impact. He not only creates spacing on offense, giving Tatum and Brown more freedom to attack the rim, but he also contributes defensively, something the Celtics have always valued. The problem is that he could also become a liability, taking up valuable cap space and limiting the team's flexibility in the future. If Boston keeps Porzingis, they are gambling that he can overcome his injury history and be a decisive factor in the playoffs. But the reality of the NBA teaches us that blindly trusting players with extensive injury histories is a major risk. Wouldn't it be smarter to trade him now while his market value is still high? Then comes another question. Could the Celtics find another center with his offensive versatility? Players with Porzingis' skill set are rare. Most NBA centers fall into one of two categories: either defensive specialists with no shooting ability or offensively skilled bigs who struggle on defense. When healthy, Porzingis offers the best of both worlds. On the other hand, there's the financial aspect. His contract runs through 2026, and it's far from cheap. If Boston believes they can find a more reliable and cost-effective alternative, they should consider making a move now. But trading Porzingis cannot be a rushed decision. The return would have to be significant. An elite defensive center, a more durable player, even if with less offensive impact. A trade for a power forward who could share responsibilities with an existing player on the roster. If the Celtics choose to keep him, they'll be taking a considerable risk. But if they trade him, they might weaken one of their biggest strengths. What matters more to Boston, stability or ambition? And what do you think? Can Porzingis still be a key piece for another championship? Or is it time for Boston to explore other options? The sale of the Boston Celtics for an astonishing $6.1 billion marks the beginning of a new chapter for the most successful franchise in NBA history. And with this change at the top, an inevitable question arises. Is Jaylen Brown safe, or could he be the first major casualty of this transition? Speculation about a possible Brown trade gained momentum following statements from Dr. Bill Simmons, who suggested that a new owner from outside Massachusetts might be inclined to shake things up to leave his mark. Just like what happened in Dallas, where Luka Doncic was unexpectedly traded to the Lakers for a questionable return. Would it be unthinkable for Boston to follow the same path with Brown? But there's one factor that changes this scenario. William Chisholm, the new owner, is a passionate Celtics fan. Born in Boston and a graduate of a New England university, he understands the franchise's importance to the city. In his first official statement, he emphasized this commitment. I understand how important the Celtics are to Boston. The team's role in the community is unlike any other in the NBA. I know the responsibility I have as the leader of this organization, and I'm ready for this challenge. Does this mean Brown is safe? Not necessarily. The Celtics' astronomical payroll could force tough decisions. Boston currently has $230 million committed in guaranteed contracts for next season, and with luxury tax penalties, the team's real cost could reach $500 million. If the new ownership wants to avoid the second luxury tax apron, which imposes severe restrictions, such as limiting trade and signing flexibility, a drastic move may be necessary. And Brown, with his $285 million max contract, automatically becomes the most obvious target. Trading Brown could ease the financial burden and bring in cheaper players and draft picks. But does that really make sense for a team that wants to keep contending for championships? Brown may not be the most marketable player in the NBA, but his importance to the Celtics is undeniable. Averaging 22.8 points, 6.1 rebounds, and 4.7 assists, Brown remains the team's second most important offensive weapon, in addition to being a physical and versatile defender. He can guard from the perimeter to bigger wings, and does so at a high level. His explosive performances in the playoffs have been evident multiple times, and he was essential in securing the 2024 title. Yet, criticism always surrounds him. His three-point shooting has dropped to 31.6% this season, raising concerns about his efficiency on a team that relies on spacing. His ball handling has also been questioned, especially in high-pressure moments. But do these minor flaws justify moving on from him? Another crucial point. Brown is at his physical and technical peak, and finding a replacement with the same impact would be nearly impossible. Unlike Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, who are over 30 and on expensive contracts, Brown still has elite years ahead. If Boston lets him go, who would take on his role? Moreover, his relationship with Jason Tatum is one of the strongest in the league. They've grown together in Boston and form one of the most successful duos in modern NBA history. Breaking them up now could destabilize a team that already knows how to win together. Boston faces a tough choice. Keeping Brown means paying an extremely high price to maintain this core while taking financial risks in the long run. On the other hand, trading him would mean giving up one of the team's pillars and potentially taking a step back in the pursuit of championships.